highlight touchdowns. Some people just get, some easy touchdowns, some walk-ins. All three of his touchdowns were highlights, and all three of his touchdowns made you see what type of star he really was yesterday. And like we said, taking on some slightly lesser competition. It is still D2, even though they are a powerhouse. But I mean, these two looked like the 1 and 2 pick last night. Honestly, I know we still have time to see how everybody else is going to look and what everybody else is going to be doing. But I mean, after what we seen last night, it's going to be hard for somebody. It's going to be hard act to follow for the rest of these guys as we start this college football weekend. The defense for Colorado didn't look exceptional. They gave up 400 yards or 400 plus yards, even though Cam Miller, the quarterback for the North Dakota State Bisons, he looks like a dude. He looks like this guy can play. We know North Dakota State has put multiple quarterbacks, not only in the NFL, but top 5 picks. When you go back to Carson Wentz, who was a number 2 pick, I believe, overall in the draft, and you go back to Trey Lance, who we saw with the Cowboys recently. He was a top overall pick. I think the number 3 pick for the 49ers in the draft. Both of these guys coming out of North Dakota State. So it's not strange to see great quarterback play coming from this team. But last night he looked like a guy, 18 for 22, 277 yards passing. Also had another 81 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, including one that made the game a one-possession game with 2 minutes left to go in the game. And game ended with a Hail Mary pass that was caught and brought down at about the 5-yard line. So just as exciting as it can get from these two teams, and they really put on a show yesterday. Kyra, what are some of your thoughts, man, about just everything, what we got to see yesterday with these Colorado Buffaloes?
So, yeah, as you guys remember, I'm sure, I picked North Dakota to win this game, thinking they were South Dakota State. But, I'm always thinking about my pick. But, so we got a pretty good game last night, man. And I think the main takeaway for everybody that was watching was the talent displayed by, former number 1 overall player Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. A lot of mock drafts have them going. Well, at least I know for a fact have Shedeur going in the top 5. And as a quarterback in the man franchise piece. But I'm really thinking about Travis Hunter and his possible impact on the game in the NFL. So we were talking about this a little bit last night.
Yeah.
But there have not been many two-way players that were dominant, or just like were this dominant. So, we narrowed it down to Champ Bailey and Charles Woodson. But when you look at Travis and his skill set, right, the Hall of Fame ball skills is what jumps off. Like just the balance and the ability to catch the ball no matter where he's at, what he's doing, backpedaling or sprinting full speed down the field. He just has elite football player ball skills. And it got me thinking, Jalen, like, say he goes to the league, right? We know it's not like normal for a player, or I can't think of many players, if any, that have played both sides. But I think this is the first player that you guys, like, the GMs are going to look at him and it's like, okay, no, we might have to put him on, like, play him both sides seriously. Like, maybe he's in some, like, nickel or, like, third and long packages or something like that, so he's not every down, like, or taking or being in run situations. But the talent this dude has, and it's effortless. It's not like he's exerting a lot of energy. You play him on offense, he's going to have the best feet and best hands on the field, probably. Play him on defense, he's going to have the best feet and the best hands on the field. So if you play him on third and long, now you got a real football player, and that just needs, like, okay, where's that going to take the game? Like, if you could have told me or any of these kids, like, hey, we'll let you play both sides, like, that was an exciting thing. Everybody wanted to play both sides of the football unless you were just bad on one side of the ball.
Yeah.
But if you could feel like you could do something, oh, yeah, put me in on both sides. Like, that's more football for me. So I want to see, I'm thinking he's going to cause a ripple effect. Like, we're going to start getting a lot of these two-way players that are looking for, we may actually have a position called athlete in the NFL, like, and look down the road to where it's like, oh, okay, well, It's just a new category. You got to pay your quarterbacks, you got to pay your running backs. You know, when they were doing the contracts with Jimmy Graham, oh, is he a wide receiver or tight end? Travis Hunter and his archetypes that may follow him after the success he has, you know, especially if he's the number one overall pick. There might be, you know, little clones that are coming up and like, hey, nah, man, you can't pay me like I'm a receiver. You can't play me like a quarterback. I'm my own category now. So are there going to be more Travis Hunters? Like, that's what I'm excited to see, because I want to see guys on both sides of the ball all the time, all over the field. You know, like, we don't need to. This isn't high school or middle school football where everybody has to play. Like, if our best receiver is also our best corner, well, tough.
Yeah.
Guy, you got to ride the bench. Like, this is a better football player right here. So I just think, yeah, like, you're absolutely on. I think you're totally correct about the draft stock of these two men. I'm really, really excited about Travis Hunter, though. I think he can have. I don't know if I'm gonna go with the best corner ever, or, you know, that type of potential. But I think he might have, like, best player potential as far as just two sides of the ball. Like, we cannot discount that considering what is like his evaluation. Like, yes, he's a top receiver. You know, yes, he's probably, but he's a top corner too. Like, he's a playmaker, period. And this is the first one I've seen in a long time, man. I'm like, nah, that can translate. Like, we can do this in the league. Play offense and then play third and long. You know, like passing situations like that can happen. You know, like, so that's pretty much what my attention paid. Shout out to North Dakota State too. You know, they came down there and they didn't lay down quarterback, like I said. They running around like the ghost of Manziel or something, man. Yeah, so I was it was a joy to watch. So, but I'm excited about Colorado. Let's see what they look like next week. I want to see this kid. See how he's done.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, like you said, to see not only what type of trend does this start. And I threw when we were arguing about it last night, Kyra, I threw Patrick Peterson in there. Y'all can jump in the comments and let me know what y'all think about that too. We got to give that man the flowers. Pat Peterson was a monster. He didn't get a chance to really line up at receiver though, like a Champ Bailey or Charles Woodson or Dion in the pros. The only person that's ever really just gotten multiple snaps on offense that's a defender. That's worth mentioning, because if the Patriots did it for some guys, I'm not going to bring up Mike Vrabel or Julian Edelman playing nickel slot corner either. But Dion, I'm not talking about that. But Dion has scored touchdowns on offense in the NFL. And, of course, I mean, it's only right that the next coming of that, or the evolution of that, will be being coached by Coach Prime. I mean, I went into the game last night thinking, man, this dude is one of the best two-way players probably that I've ever seen. But, you know, in the league, he'll play defense because his ball skills on defense are just ridiculous, and he's good at shadowing the receivers. He kind of can take his knowledge as a receiver and put it to the corner side. But after last night, I don't know. I have no idea. He might literally just have to play both, like you said, Kyra. I mean, I don't understand how he can do the things, the touchdown catches that he had. The first one, he gets a short ball, makes a guy miss, and he's got the go to the house speed ability. As soon as he touched the ball, we seen that 49 yards. The next one, he makes an adjustment in the air, has to stop, put the brakes on in the air pretty much, stops on a dime, gets 1 foot down, catches the ball, touchdown. And then the last one that everybody has been seeing, I mean, that play is just ridiculous. He's getting choke slammed by the corner, like an extreme pass interference. Dude is suplexing him, sticks his hands out, still gets his hands on the ball. And something I seen earlier on the internet, it was either Twitter or Instagram, right before that, I guess they might have had a 3-and-out or something happened, but Shador and Travis were kind of having some conversation, not an argument, because that's just conversation for anybody that's been around any football. They're just having a conversation. You got to yell. Emotions are high. They're kind of yelling at each other. You know, Travis is saying, you know, they're holding me, and he's all over me. I couldn't get the ball. And Shador looks at him and says, I don't care about any of that. Just catch the ball. They don't care if somebody's getting on you. And then that was a play that was made after that conversation. So, man, I mean, I like I said, I went in and think – go ahead.
No, I said that's heat, man. That's heat. Go ahead.
Yeah, like that. It's crazy to see that's the talent that this dude really has on both sides of the ball, and we haven't seen him at his best on defense yet. And we will see him at his best on defense because they're playing in the Big 12. The Big 12 is going to throw the ball, so they're going to give him opportunities. And the fact that this dude is playing this many snaps, like he only missed 2 snaps in the entire game last night. I mean, I don't think people know how hard that is to do. Play 55 snaps on offense, 7 catches, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns. He played 69 snaps on defense, only 3 catches allowed for 18 yards. Like, come on, man. Like, the stuff that this guy is doing, he's just as advertised. I mean, I know it's early. It's week 1. It's barely even week 1 because it's really the first game of week 1. But as of right now, that thing needs to be headed down towards Boulder. That Heisman Trophy needs to be on a truck going towards Boulder right now, getting ready because, I mean, somebody's going to have to put up a crazy season to outdo the kind of stuff that we're seeing from Travis Hunter. And Shedeur, I got him right up there as a top 3 pick, if not the number 1 pick. Just depends who gets the pick. You know, I mean, the poise that he showed, some of those throws he was making, because they still, as we see, haven't got some things figured out on the offensive line. He's getting hit too much, and we'll talk about some of the negatives here in a second of what we saw yesterday, but he's getting hit while trying to release this ball still, and he's still making these throws. He's resetting the pocket. You don't see guys in college do that a lot. It's one thing to be able to scramble and throw on the run, but to get away from pressure, go out, move your feet, and be able to set your feet and reset you a new pocket, search down the field, and then hit a guy that's open. This is special stuff we're seeing from Shedeur Sanders, and he's got the talent at receiver. He's got the talent at the receiver position to be able to make this happen, but the offensive line, you know, they still having time to catch up. But I mean, it's crazy what we're seeing from both of these 2 guys. Go ahead, Kyra.
Oh man, no, I want to ask you another look at something else too, man. Like just the ripple effect, right? A lot of these high schools, like you'll play both sides, freshman year, JV, and then once you get to the top level in high school football, varsity, unless you're really, really one of those guys, you're not getting reps on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. So when I want to think about like these kids, right? So these top receivers, these top corners, everybody that's kind of set in their position. Because when you go practice or when you go out there to work on your game and everything, a lot of times you're doing position. You're practicing for your position, not really practicing for everything all over the field. So I just wonder, like, what's the ripple effect going to be? Like, are we going to start seeing more of these kids or more kids on the team playing both sides, like at these high levels? So I'm thinking about these powerhouses that, have a lot of kids and a lot of talent. The Bacorian Moores out of Duncanville this year. All these elite athletes. Will they see it better and more lucrative to get drafted to see, hey, I need to just be on the field. Like I'm crazy with the ball in my hands, regardless how I get it. If it's a pick, if it's I need to show as much skill set I have. And to me, if I'm a young recruit, man, that sounds like a great strategy to me. Like it's like playing baseball and football and you're great at both, but now you play offense and defense. Like that's twice the opportunity, So I'm just wondering if we're going to see these kids like start clamoring for that type of practice style, coaching style, and just those type of opportunities. And then that could be a game changer. Like, firstly, we'll get better football out of that because football is just more fun when you have Travis Hunters and Debo's and guys that play multiple positions, all-purpose guards.
Yeah.
Those are our favorite players all the time. The all-purpose dudes. Tavon Austin. He didn't pan out in the league, but nobody had more electric gear in football than Tavon Austin.
Nobody.
200 a game, 200 all-purpose yards a game. That is average. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, so I'm just thinking we're going to start seeing more Travis Hunters like coming sprouting up all over the football world. So,
yeah, I'm hoping that's what we can see. But you might have thought that when Dion was doing some of the things that he did and playing two sports and playing both sides. I don't know if somebody can do. Well, I think Travis is a one of one. I think we might see some guys that are on a lower scale be able to do this, like a Jabril Peppers type of thing, where a guy can be all over the field and get some packages in on offense, and maybe they'll give him some more. But this dude is playing pretty much every single snap on both sides of the ball. That is I don't understand how someone can even do that. The conditioning level that you have to be able to, and we'll see if this is sustainable. Last year it wasn't sustainable, although that wasn't really an injury because of something he had from playing both sides. That was an injury off of a dirty play that Travis got last year. But still, we'll have to see, is this even sustainable for a guy to play like this? And I don't know if kids will be able to duplicate stuff like that. I mean, especially here in Texas on the high school level, you see guys playing both sides of the ball, especially once you get to some of the lower levels, 5A Division II and under. Really, you'll see guys playing both sides of the ball. But I don't understand how Travis is able to do this, and will he be able to sustain that throughout? I don't know if other guys can do that, man. I mean, we've seen the Patrick Petersons, the Tyrann Matthews, the Jabril Peppers over the last few years, guys that's getting sunburn on both sides of the ball, or even guys like you said, a Debo or McCaffrey or Tavon Austin that's playing multiple positions on offense. But to be able to do that and continue the sustained high level of play on both sides, I mean, you gave up 18 yards on defense and you put up 172 and 3 touchdowns on offense. Like, who can we even see doing something like that? And what coach would trust somebody to? Because that's what it really comes down to. Because Coach Prime didn't have to trust him to be able to do every single snap and play both sides of the ball. He's tailing their number one receiver, and he's traveling with him. I saw them go out and move him out in motion, and I seen Travis traveling with him and going with him, or calling out for his other corners to come and switch so he can come get back on their main guy, and they'll and get back on their main guy and still be able to come back in on the offensive side of the ball and be the main guy. I seen him in the post game interview talking about. I just told him I need the ball on third downs, and it seemed like just about every single big third down, Travis Hunter was the main option on there. So that was really crazy to see that happen. Final thoughts, Kyrell, about this Colorado thing before we go to a quick break.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question, man. Like,
Yeah.
who is Travis Hunter's comp to you in the NFL? Because I have the way I'm gonna tell you about what I'm thinking about, the way I'm thinking it, my thought process on it, and then I'm gonna let you answer. So
Okay.
what I'm looking at is the way he moves and his body type, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who do you think is his comp in the NFL, or any player that's ever been in the NFL? Because I think I have two.
I mean, you have to break it down for position. Like, who do I think his comp is on offense, and then one on defense?
No, not necessarily, but just like look at the way a receiver or corner moves, right? Like the type of their body types, the way they move, the way they jump, the way they catch the ball. Like head. There's two players that jump are like eyes. When you look at them, you watch them move, they look identical to me. When they're light on their feet, they're tall, they're a little longer and lankier. Like it's they're not twinkle toes, but they're just real light on their feet, and they have great hands. And the way they jump, they kind of just their legs kind of dangle in the air, while their torso is tight and they're able to, turn into like ballerinas a little bit and stretch for the ball.
Yeah.
It's a very specific like archetype of football player so when I look at guys that I see like him, I can definitely see guys doing what he does. So like, do you have anybody in mind? Think about it like that.
I mean, not that I can think of off the top of my head. On defense, I would have to say a Champ Bailey, just because of ball skills and the lankiness, the speed, the ability to follow a receiver and pinpoint the ball out of midair like that. I would say somebody like a Champ. If I had to pick somebody in there right now, I don't know who I would comp him to right now on the defensive side of the ball. Just off the top of my head, as far as ball skills and being able to track the ball at the middle of the air like that. I mean, only guy I've seen really track the ball down like that on interceptions would be like a Diggs or maybe even a Deron Bland if you're talking about just tracking the ball skills. Like seems like they're selling out for a pick type thing.
Yeah.
But if on the offensive side of the ball, I mean that's tough, man. That's tough. Who did you have in mind though?
So there's two guys, right? And it's just like body control in the air. Like these are the things like I'm thinking of. You know, when I imagine them going up and catching the ball, they do it exactly the same. And you hit one of them. To me, Trayvon Diggs. Like Trayvon Diggs is definitely somebody that I think he might not have be a top receiver with the best hands, but I could definitely see him out there catching passes, catching, you know, just playing offense. The way they jump in the air, they're just like they have this like Dez is not the same body type, but they kind of jump in the air with the same like balance and control. But the two players I was thinking of, one was Trayvon Diggs, and the other was Dion. And those are like, and now that I think about it, like those are the only two players I can really see being successful playing two-way in NFL. A lot of these two-way guys, like Jabril Peppers, like he really wasn't a receiver. He was more just like, oh, let me just get the more Debo-esque, and a linebacker / safety on the. So that really doesn't pan out because it's like you're taking too much punishment. You know, you're running the ball and you're in the box tackling. So the only people that I've seen like be successful, I think Dion had over like 600 some yards when he played receiver one year.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see Diggs, you know, he was a receiver at Bama before he went to corner. Diggs has that kind of control in the air, body control in the air. So when I see Travis, and that's what stands out to me, it's like he's not the strongest, he's not blazing fast, you know, that's not it. It's the control, like it's that control, that balance that he has. It's not even he maintains his balance for longer and can get his balance back quicker than anybody else on the field with him. And I see the same with Diggs. Like, how rare do you see, like if Travis Hunter jumps with the receiver, I expect him to come down with that ball. Two hands. When Trayvon Diggs jumps for the receiver, I'm expecting him to come down with that ball. Like it's the same thing with Dion. They're great leapers. It's almost like they're dancers more so than athletes. Now, I know Dion was blazing fast, but Trayvon and Travis Hunter, like these guys aren't going to be your top 5 40-yard dash performance like Dion was. It's just that they're like ballerinas, man. And it's like I see them play. I see that same thing in DeCorian Moore out of Duncanville. Like it's a certain build. It's a certain build and archetype that I think can play both sides or just be monsters on wherever they put them in the field because their cores are strong and that leads to their balance just looks totally different. You know, like even Champ Bailey, you know, I would say Charles Woodson was somebody that was like that too.
Yeah,
like
Woody.
He's a little bit. Woody was a little bit more solid than these guys, but just a little bit. But he still had just like great, just light on his feet. It was like he was walking on clouds. Like it was, it didn't take much for him to gain control of his body. So I'm wondering how many players, man, like are we going to start seeing with this archetype? They're not the strongest and they're not the fastest. They're strong and they're fast, but they're not like overly one. They're not bulky. It's just they're slim, they're agile, you know, and they're just real cut, not real like Jalen Ramsey types. Like that's not what I mean. These guys are actual just ideal receivers and corners, like the perfect build for a receiver and a corner.
No, I agree. I agree definitely. Like, I mean, really with everything you said, I'm wondering how many more guys will we see with that type of build try to experiment. And, you know, but it's tough to duplicate that. It's tough to duplicate what Travis or what a Dion or what a Woodson can do. They're those guys for a reason because everybody can't do it. But I definitely am intrigued to see will more people try it after seeing the type of success that he had there. So, folks, we're gonna talk some more Colorado football. We're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk a little bit of high school football. We know this is the high school football edition of Centex Primetime since we're here on a Friday. So we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back. I'm going to bring in a couple other guys to come and talk some high school football with me as well. So you're watching Centex Primetime here with Jalen Gillis. We'll be back right after this break.
When you you suffer an injury at home, work, or on the road involving a car, 18-wheeler, or motorcycle, the first thing you need to do before calling anyone is dial 1-800-INJURIES for locally owned and operated the Zimmerman Law Firm. Hey, this is Big Rich, and the Zimmerman Law Firm has represented thousands of Central Texans in the last 50-plus years and handled more personal injury cases than any other local firm. When you call the Zimmerman Law Firm, you talk to a lawyer, no matter how big or small your case, and they guarantee you're financially taken care of because they only get paid when you win. Hey, don't just take my word for it. Heart of Texas Reader's Choice has named Zimmerman Law Firm the best in Waco. So remember, if you get injured at home, work, or on the road, it just takes one call, y'all, to 1-800-INJURIES or zlawhelp.com for the Zimmerman Law Firm and tell them I told you to call. Principal Office, Waco, Texas. No fee unless you recover. Book your next special event at the Bellmead Civic Center. From quinceañeras to Christmas parties, the Civic Center has room to accommodate your needs. You're planning that special birthday party, having a family reunion, or training seminar. Book now at the Bellmead Civic Center. And if you need to rent a room for that big event for your family or business function, the Bellmead Civic Center is what you're looking for. Let their friendly and knowledgeable staff help take some of the hassle out of planning your next event. Call them today at 799-2418 or visit them at the Bellmead Civic Center, conveniently located near I-35 and Loop 340. No matter if your event's big or small, they've got room for you.
When you are tired of good enough pizza and want the only authentic Italian quality pizza in town, with dough and sauce made fresh daily in-house, vegetables freshly chopped throughout the day, and meats made using the finest beef, pork, and chicken, I present to you locally owned and operated Marco's Pizza. Marco's has 3 convenient locations to serve you, including across from Pirate Stadium in Bellmead. Feeding the entire family piping hot, authentic Italian fresh pizza, cheesy bread, and dessert tonight is as easy as going to marcos.com or stopping by the newest location in Bellmead. Marco's Pizza. Say goodbye to just good enough.
CBS Sports Central Texas, KWBT HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.
Hello and welcome back into Centex Primetime. Jalen Gillis here as we're getting ready for the special edition today of Centex Primetime. Here joined by definitely a high school legend here in the Central Texas area, joined by Mr. Wayne Walker here today as well. He's gonna chop it up with us about some high school football and talk about some other things. What's going on, Wayne?
Hey, what's going on today?
Ain't nothing much, man. Just getting ready for these games. Like we said, I'm gonna bring in one of the callers that we have here with us today. I've got with me Mr. Tony Adams. He is the play-by-play guy and for Lake Belton, and also does some work for Temple College down here in the Central Texas area, and we got to interact with each other a little bit. He helped us out with some baseball games during the MCC tournament as well, and he's going to jump on here and talk to us about some high school football. Tony, what's going on, man?
Has it been 3 months already?
Yeah, it has. It seems just like yesterday that we were staying up till 3 or 4 in the morning doing those baseball games, and one of the craziest scenarios that I've been in since I've been doing this sports broadcast stuff.
It was an insane ending. I mean, it was, exactly the way that we would hope it played out. A Region 5 North team ended up going. MCC did well, and it was a lot of fun doing it with you guys, and glad that I could come on to help you guys do a little high school breakdown.
Oh yeah, definitely want to try to continue this as well and get your opinions on some of these high school games we're going throughout. So, Tony, tell us a little bit about the game that you're headed down there to do and your relationship with the school that you're working with now.
Well, right now I'm covering both Lake Belton and Belton. Last night we covered the Belton Hendrickson game. I cover it for the Belton Journal newspaper down here. Was the sports editor here for about 9 years. Went back to working part time a couple of years ago after a quick stint in Montana. But with Lake Belton High, they're taking on number 9 A&M Consolidated. They're a really good team. They've got a load of D1 talent on this squad, and this is going to be one of those games where it's Lake is just finished graduating its first 4-year class, so they've got a lot of questions that they're looking to answer. They had a couple of 5 stars that ended up going other places. Micah Hudson, wide receiver, ended up at Texas Tech. Selman Bridges, defensive back, ended up at Arkansas. And we're getting a chance to see a lot of these kids that were a little bit further down the depth chart step up and have their opportunity in 2024. Last night we covered Belton and Hendrickson. That was a 14-0 game, and it was a very defensive game. Belton ended up they're still looking for answers at their quarterback position. Their defense played really well. Unfortunately, several turnovers for Belton, but they only allowed 2 touchdowns. So it was one of those situations where the defense for Belton's going to hold them in for a lot of games this year. Just wasn't to be last night. Hendrickson very aggressive on offense and defense, and they were able to get it done last night.
Yeah. When you talk about the Belton school, and we know they're in a district with some of the schools here in the Central Texas area, so I'm sure you've had a chance to look at some of these other schools down here. What are some of the schools in I guess you could say the Greater Waco-ish area that kind of caught your eye and that you're interested in watching and seeing this coming up year?
This season is going to be a little bit strange when it comes to districting. I know Belton's only got 5 district games this year. They in the redistricting in 5A2, they ended up in a district where they just have 6 teams. So they'll have 5 non-district games, with that last district game being against perennial 4A. I think they're 5A powerhouse now, Cuero.
Yeah.
And Cuero is going to be coming down here to Tiger Field, and they'll have a lot of opportunity to be able to prove some things. Lake Belton in their redistricting ends up with a Georgetown, Cedar Park, Leander district, which is always a lot of fun to watch. And always we get an opportunity to watch Waco and University and Midway. Midway is in 6A, of course, but have a lot of chance to watch these guys basically on Saturday mornings right now. With being able to cover Lake and Belton on Friday nights, I get a chance to go back and see what the other schools have done on Saturday morning, and helps definitely get the homework done over the weekend and get ready for the next week.
Yeah. We know those Belton squads have always been some good teams, and when I was in high school back in I graduated 2014 from Midway, Belton was definitely one of the rivalries that we had with some of the schools here in Central Texas. I always had some really good teams. I remember back when they had a David Ash back there, quarterback. That was some years back that ended up going to Texas, and I remember getting to watch some of those games as well. When you think about some of these teams in this Greater Waco area, are there any players that kind of stick out to you? I know that, University's got some kids. Conley always got some really good kids out there. La Vega's going to have some guys out there as well. Are there any players that really stick out to you, even if they're from the Lake Belton and Belton schools as well?
Well, as of right now, it's just a little bit early, but it's we've had a chance. There's a couple of running backs I definitely know in Belton's district that should be able to step up and do some damage. The one thing about the district that Lake Belton's in is they, I believe, they've got an 18 district, which they have 7 district games. Of those 18, 6 had graduating quarterbacks last year. So it's going to be really interesting to see who steps up in the quarterback role when it comes to a lot of those teams in the district. Lake does have returning quarterback in Eli Mascarenas. But he'll have different receivers this year as they graduated a lot of their receiving core. There's one of their slot receivers, Cash Robin, ended up he ended up moving to Austin Westlake. They were in action last night down here at Crusader Stadium against Prosper. They ended up winning 35-14. There was I guess it was a halfway trip for however they want to figure that out, but they drew nearly 9,000 people there at Crusader Stadium for 2 out-of-town teams that are really good. But going back to the point about standouts, between offense and defense, there's a lot of parity this year. There's a lot of people that graduated, and this is a time where you can step out and unfortunately last night we saw a number of injuries in the Belton-Hendrickson game, and you're going to get this time of year. But this is that time of year where the depth can step up and take over, and maybe get some eyes on them on the collegiate level.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Mike, this is Wayne Walker, and I want to ask you: are there any guys the caliber of Michael Hudson around in this area? I mean, he was a guy that was a top 5 recruit in the nation. Do we have any guys of that caliber around Central Texas this year?
For my purview of the area that I covered, not really. However, I'm really interested to see what Temple will do, because Temple has a bevy of returning coaches. They're coming back. Chad President being one of those coaches, and you've got some coaches over there at Temple that are not that far removed from Division I ball play, and those guys know what it takes to groom Division I talent. And Temple might be a group that we can keep an eye on. We saw Coppers Cove in a scrimmage against Lake Belton last week, and they've got 3 really strong receivers that are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". They may be able to stand out in that district, and they're all in the same district Midway's in. So we'll just have that opportunity to see what's going on.
It'll be interesting to see. Some guys just have to step up and come with it.
Yeah, a lot of these areas have a lot of talent, especially when you're talking about at the receiver position. Like you said, Micah Hudson going to Wayne, to your alma mater, and going out there to Texas Tech. So I know you'll be excited to watch him out there at this coming up season. Tony, want to ask before we get you off of here, man, what are some of the matchups that kind of have you intrigued, not just in the Central Texas area, but just in high school football in general? I know that you're a fan and that you love watching a lot of these different teams. Are there any matchups tonight that have really caught your eye? It could be in this area, or it doesn't have to be in this area, just that you're going to be checking the box score for after we know we'll both be working tonight, but that you'll be checking the box score for in between and after the game?
Well, definitely last night, that Westlake Prosper game was one that I had my eye out on. And I was just really interested to see what Westlake's got. I mean, you guys know they're a perennial powerhouse. So,
yeah.
They're always, they don't rebuild, they reload. And, Tony Salazar, UMHP alum, always does a great job down there. I think Baylor Mullins is down there as well. Or one of the guys that was a DB down here at UMHB. I mean, right now, everything seems a little even. And if we can, just get through this week 1 matchup and just see who all stands out. Week 2, we'll definitely have a lot more to talk about. But
for sure,
everything's great. Everything's great in the paper. But you know what? When it comes to being on the field, there's nothing better than playing some football on Friday night.
Yeah, and we'll get to see that.
Right. Well, we thank you, man, and a great job. Good luck to Lake Belton this year. Want to see what that district is all about and see who steps out of the shadows and wins that district.
Yeah, Tony, we definitely appreciate you calling in with us today, and we'll be doing this more throughout the season. Like you said, we'll have a lot more to talk about after week 1. We'll get to see all these teams get out there and get some grass on their jerseys and get a chance to see what these teams are made of. And we'll definitely be looking out for the Lake Belton team and for the Belton team as well.
Hey, that sounds good. You guys have a great night. Enjoy the fun over the next couple weeks. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, Tony, we'll see you.
Yes, sir.
That was Tony Adams, the play-by-play guy for the Lake Belton, for Lake Belton and for Belton as well. And like I said, also does some work with the Temple Leopards, one of the JUCOs in this Central Texas area. And here, Jalen Gill is still here in studio with Wayne Walker, and we're getting ready for some great football, not only tonight, but tomorrow as well. And Wayne, I want to get your opinion. I got to talk about it a little bit earlier in the opening of the show, man. The Colorado game, man. I think it was Coach Prime's got everybody's eyes back on it once again. It seemed like just scrolling through social media as the game was going, that seems like the whole world once again is watching this game. And Colorado wins 31-26 in the game. Shedeur Sanders shines as bright as you can, 445 yards, 4 touchdowns, and the superstar of the game, I believe, Travis Hunter, 7 catches, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns, played both sides of the ball, over 60 snaps on defense and 55 snaps on offense as well. I mean, he played every down besides 2 plays on both sides of the ball. And North Dakota Bison's no slouch at all, like we knew. We talked about that earlier in the week. Cam Miller, their quarterback, he looked like a guy. He looks like another one of these North Dakota State quarterbacks. They've put 2 in the league already in the last 10 years, and he looks like somebody that could be one of the next ones. He had 277 yards passing and a touchdown, and counted that with 81 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns in that game. So just want to get your thoughts before we go a little bit deeper into it. What are your thoughts about what you got to see yesterday in this game?
Well, a great first step for Colorado.
Yeah.
To win that game was big. But the most impressive thing that I saw about last night was Travis Hunter. And to have that level of concentration, on both sides of the ball, where you have to get your defensive information and your offensive information, and you retain all that, and you go out and you play a heck of a ball game was outstanding to me.
Yeah, that was really great to see. I mean, Travis Hunter, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, I mean, I think he's one of one. There's guys that, can try to play both sides of the ball, but to see it at this high of a level, like you said, we don't even account that part of it, of retaining all the information, of knowing all the plays and calls.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And just to have that level of concentration and go out there and just play, a ball game like that, he surely solidified himself as a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. And the good thing about that is he can go either way.
Yeah.
And to have that versatility and to get on the field and be able to play receiver, return punts, and to play defensive back, and you play them all at a high level, man, that is just, that's a wonderful thing. And that's a wonderful athletic ability to have, a wonderful skill to have.
Yeah, to see the way that he can move on both sides of the ball, I mean, it's really remarkable to be able to see 55 snaps on offense, 7 catches, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns on defense, 69 snaps, only 3 catches allowed for 18 yards. So, I mean, this guy's putting up first-team All-American numbers on both sides of the ball. And, Wayne, as a former receiver, being able to see the type of catches, the difficulty of the catches that he's making. I know we had his first touchdown where he caught a short route and broke away from a guy and took that to the house for 49 yards, I believe that was. The next one, he stops on a dime in the end zone on one leg, able to get his feet down, or able to get his foot down and high point the ball all at the same time. And then the third one, the one that we all saw that's been driving us crazy. I mean, the guy is all over him, almost choke slamming him out of bounds, and he still gets his hands in and able to make the catch. When you see that type of skill on the offensive side, like the way that he can catch the ball, I mean, just what do you think about that and seeing how he can move around on offense?
Well, he displayed it all, route running ability, hands coming out of breaks, and it was just outstanding performance by him. Just to go out and to have, like I say, that level of concentration where you can catch the ball with your hands, where you can run routes, where you can come out of routes. And not only that, he was scoring touchdowns with those guys, with those catches and doing and displaying all of that ability.
Yeah, just to see him be able to do that on both sides, and I mean the conditioning that you got to have to be able to play.
You have to be in wonderful condition. I know as a player, just playing one side of the ball, you get exhausted. So to go out and to play on the offensive end and then come back out and have to try to defend on the defensive end, then you have to be in outstanding shape. And, kudos to Dion and his staff for getting those guys ready to play and to be able to log that number of plays.
Yeah, I mean, it's really remarkable, and the amount of trust that Dion has to let a guy go out there and show that he can do that. I mean, he won that trust last year with how he performed, but to get that type of trust from your coach, I mean, that's got to be an amazing feeling as a player to be able to get that from your coach.
Yeah, and from day one when he recruited him and took him away from Florida State, he said he was going to play both sides of the ball. And most coaches will tell you anything when they come into your home.
Yeah.
And once you get to that school, they'll say, hey, well, we want you to concentrate on the defensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. But Prime, the guy he is, he told him what he was going to do, and he backed it up and let him go and play offense and defense.
I mean, it's crazy when you think about the impact that this could have on Colorado's recruiting. Because like you said, I mean, coaches will tell a guy anything to get him to sign that letter and get him to come in there on their team and put their jersey on. But, I mean, to be able to live up to that, he trusted him all the way from going to Jackson State to coming with him again in college, because he had offers coming out of Jackson State as well to be able to transfer to any program in the nation, really. And he chose to stay with Coach Prime at a losing program in Colorado that they were coming into, knowing it was going to be a tough rebuild. And so far in this first game, it's looking like it's looking like Travis is going to be living up to all the expectations that we had for him.
Right, and you said it. You said it the first time. The trust.
Yeah.
They have trust in each other. You got Dion treating this guy like he's a father. He has no father in his life, so Dion became that father, and so he said wherever Dion went, he was going to follow him. So, they hand in hand. So. And he's Shadour's best friend. So that relationship started at Jackson State and is continuing on at Colorado.
Yeah, and you can see that chemistry that him and Shadour have on the field with each other on third downs. I heard Travis say after the game that he pretty much told him on third downs, I need the ball. And I think it felt like at least almost every single third down, that ball was going to 12. And everybody knew it, but there wasn't much people could do. I mean, the guy is who he is for a reason. And he really showed out in a huge way. Him and Shadour as well. Shadour with another 400-plus yard game. I mean, we almost it almost seems like we take it for granted. Like everybody just can go out here and get 400 yards, 350-plus yards almost every single game. And Shadour continues to shine, even playing in a lesser talent. But North Dakota State is still a powerhouse in Division II.
No doubt about it.
So seeing what Shadour can do as well, going out there and continuing to perform, he gets all the pressure as well. The media is constantly on his dad, so I mean he's got to feel that pressure as well, because he's got to come out there and perform, or they're going to be on him and his dad the same amount.
Well, my takes on that is the offensive line looked little bit better.
Yeah,
but Shadour has to know when to get the ball out.
Yeah,
all of those sacks, sometimes you can help him by just throwing the ball away. He tries to hold on to the ball, and he's always trying to make a play. But sometimes you just have to throw the ball out of bounds, because sometimes guys are going to get covered. But one thing about Colorado, they have a high-powered offense, and they're going to score a lot of points. But at the same time, I still think they need to revamp that defense, because I think people are going to score points on them. So it's going to be interesting to see going forward what kind of team they really do have, because I seen a little improvement on the offensive line, but I didn't see enough improvement to make a judgment right now and say, hey, they're going to be able to do that against teams in the Big 12 all year.
Yeah.
And on the other end, their defense, North Dakota State moved the ball efficiently on them and were able to do whatever they wanted to do with them. So that's going to be another interesting, and I think they held the ball for over, probably out of the whole game, probably about over 25, 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're gonna know they need to learn how to stop the run, and if they don't do that, it's gonna be a long season for them.
Yeah.
Even though that was an impressive win.
Oh yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk about next before we go into break. So we talked about all the good parts of it, but you started touching on right there. I mean, the offensive line, there is improvement. It doesn't look just like how everyone was just it looked like almost all four would break through every time last year. It doesn't look like that, but still seeing Shadour getting hit more than you would like. I mean, North Dakota State, super talented team, but nobody on that front seven is going to go to the league now. So if you can't block these guys, you still got to play Arizona. You still got to play an Oklahoma State. You got to play Utah. You got to take on these type of teams. Your line wasn't getting the type of protection that we needed to see, or that everyone wanted to see. And I know it's week one and these guys got time to gel and all that kind of stuff, but to give up the amount of hits and stuff is kind of alarming, knowing that I mean, honestly, nobody on that North Dakota State line is going to be in the league. So that's not really what you want to see.
Right. And they're Division II players for a reason.
Yeah.
So you had no Division I players out there playing that you were playing against. So now you're going to have to come with it. You have to step up, and you're going to have to start playing the big boys. So the real measuring stick will come next week when they play Nebraska.
Yeah.
So if they go out and have that same type of game against Nebraska, then, hey, we can say, hey, Colorado is going to be something to deal with. But if they can't go out and do that against Nebraska, you have to duplicate that against them. If not, then all the questions will come into play again, and we'll be saying the same thing, which Prime is my boy. So
yeah.
I'm rooting for him. But if you want to be honest and we're talking, and this is a sports show, so we have to be honest, and we have to give our opinion on things. And so I think that going forward, they have a lot to prove. And I don't think that they proved it last night against North Dakota State, even though North Dakota State was a tough opponent for them.
Yeah, definitely a tough opponent, and North Dakota State came out there and proved why they've been the type of team that they've been for the last, 20 years really, and how they were able to do that. Right before we get off, I want to talk about what are some of the things on the defensive side of the ball that we saw from Colorado that they're going to have to fix, because they gave up 400-plus yards of offense. Like you said, North Dakota State, they won the possession battle. They were winning it from the beginning. From the first quarter on, they were winning the battle of possession. Now, some of that is also because Colorado was scoring quickly, but still, they were able to methodically move the ball down the field multiple drives. And, the defense, obviously, everybody wanted them to come in and improve from last year. They were ranked in the 100s last year for their defensive performance. And after last night, giving up 400-plus yards again, and this time to a Division II school, what do you think about some of the adjustments that need to be made by them?
And basically, it was all run. They had an unbalanced line. They played them with an unbalanced line. So that's difficult to game plan for. But at the same time, North Dakota was engaging on blocks, pushing them down the field on run plays. And they kind of threw to the tight end a lot. But now you're going to play against the big boys with the high-powered offenses and the 5 wideouts. And the only guy that I see that's a matchup problem for anybody going forward is that same guy that was on offense, number 12, and that's Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
That's a guy that can lock down. And the thing about it is they play man-to-man. They play a lot of bump and run man-to-man. So I just see it as it's going to be a gunsling, and that means it's going to be people are going to be scoring on Colorado, and Colorado will be coming back and scoring on them. So it's going to be interesting to see. But their defense needs to get a little bit better, because now you're going against the big boys, and the big boys will be able to run and pass. Yeah,
Definitely a much bigger test coming up for the next game against Nebraska. So that one will be a huge game that I'm sure that everybody will be watching once again. That's next Saturday at 6:30 that we'll get to see them do that. I want to thank everybody been watching with us so far. We're getting ready to go into hour number 2, folks, and we're going to talk some more college football. Also, we're going to talk high school football as well, as it is kickoff weekend here in Central Texas for high school football. You're watching Centex Primetime here on Centex Sports Network and CBS Sports Radio Central Texas. We will be right back.
If you're in the mood for a great Southern-style home-cooked meal, then Sassy's at 719 South 11th Street in Waco is the place for you. Check out their lunch specials Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., including beef, pork, or chicken, and Sassy's delicious sides like fried cabbage, okra, and mac and cheese. Sassy's has your Sunday lunch covered as well from noon to 5 with all your favorites, plus collard greens, oxtails, glazed ham, and those sweet potatoes. Finish off your meal with homemade butter pound cake, sweet potato pie, and even milk and cookies. You can even share the greatness of Sassy's with others using their catering services. Come enjoy Sassy's great service and elegant, relaxed dining area 7 days a week at 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's invites you to join them for a delicious home-style Southern cooked meal in the heart of Waco, just a couple blocks from the silos at 719 South 11th Street. When you eat at Sassy's, you just don't eat. You feed your soul.
When you suffer an injury at home, work, or on the road involving a car, 18-wheeler, or motorcycle, the first thing you need to do before calling anyone is dial 1-800-INJURIES for locally owned and operated the Zimmerman Law Firm. Hey, this is Big Rich, and the Zimmerman Law Firm has represented thousands of Central Texans in the last 50-plus years and handled more personal injury cases than any other local firm. When you call the Zimmerman Law Firm, you talk to a lawyer, no matter how big or small your case, and they guarantee you're financially taken care of because they only get paid when you win. Hey, don't just take my word for it. Heart of Texas Readers' Choice has named Zimmerman Law Firm the best in Waco. So remember, if you get injured at home, work, or on the road, it just takes one call, y'all, to 1-800-INJURIES or zlawhelp.com for the Zimmerman Law Firm and tell them I told you to call. Principal Office, Waco, Texas. No fee unless you recover.
Book your next special event at the Bell Mead Civic Center. From quinceañeras to Christmas parties, the Civic Center has room to accommodate your needs. You're planning that special birthday party, having a family reunion, or training seminar. Book now at the Bell Mead Civic Center. Now, if you need to rent a room for that big event for your family or business function, the Bell Mead Civic Center is what you're looking for. Let their friendly and knowledgeable staff help take some of the hassle out of planning your next event. Call them today at 799-2418 or visit them at the Bell Mead Civic Center, conveniently located near I-35 and Loop 340. No matter if your event's big or small, they've got room for you.
When you are tired of good enough pizza and want the only authentic Italian quality pizza in town with dough and sauce made fresh daily in-house, vegetables freshly chopped throughout the day, and meats made using the finest beef, pork, and chicken, I present to you locally owned and operated Marco's Pizza. Marco's has 3 convenient locations to serve you, including across from Pirate Stadium in Belle Meade. Feeding the entire family piping hot, authentic Italian fresh pizza, cheesy bread, and dessert tonight is as easy as going to marcos.com or stopping by the newest location in Belle Meade. Marco's Pizza. Say goodbye to just good enough.
CBS Sports Central Texas, KWBT HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.
Welcome back to Centex Prime Time, everybody. It is a happy Friday. Hope everybody's Friday is going well. Should be. You're off work if you've been working the Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. You're off right now. It's about 6 o'clock. Most of everybody's getting off. And if you're in Texas, you're getting ready to watch some type of football, whether that be you're going to a game, whether you're going to watch, think Oklahoma plays tonight as well, if you're going to sit in front of your TV and watch some football. Still in here, joined the studio with Wayne Walker, and we were just talking. He said he's going to go and check out some football games here tonight as well. I think he wants to go to that university game and check out what those guys have been building down there with Coach Johnson, and right here on 94.5 Magic and 94.5 Central Texas. CBS Central Texas, we'll be having the La Vega game going as well. That'll be right here. Pre-game show will start at 7 o'clock. If you want to listen to that, go to 94.5 Magic, and you'll be able to listen to that whether you do that online or if you're in your car, you want to listen, go over to 94.5 Magic. You'll be able to listen to all the action from the La Vega game starting at 7 o'clock. The game starts at 7:30. We'll have pre-game before then, and it is kickoff weekend for high school football here in Central Texas, and just about everybody's getting started. If they didn't get started last night, we had Tony Adams on in the first hour, and he gave us a little insight about Lake Belton and Belton. Belton dropped their first game last night, taking on a tough team and lost that game 14-0, but their defense looks good, so we'll be excited to see how they move forward throughout the year. He talked about Lake Belton as well and how they're doing, trying to replace a superstar talent in Micah Hudson, somebody that I got to see a little bit of while he was down there at Lake Belton, and I'm super excited to see what he's going to do with at Texas Tech, and with another big receiver that came out of sort of the Central Texas area in Stephenville with Corey Eakin. He was on that team, and he got to get some burn last year. I saw some times that he was able to break into the end zone as a freshman last year, so both of those two big receivers going to be out there at Texas Tech next year. So this coming up, you're excited to see what those guys can do. But I want to talk a little bit about the game that we're going to see here, or that you're going to hear here tonight, folks, on CBS Sports Central Texas and on 94.5 Magic. Number 8, La Vega taking on Kennedale. Both of these teams got 7 wins last year. Both teams coming in with some good programs as well. Coach Hyde coming in with another stacked roster. Honestly, I mean, this team 7-4 last year, 7-5 last year, and you can for most teams that's a pretty decent year. For a La Vega team, that's really almost kind of like a down year, and Coach Hyde is looking to bring them back to that top status that they've had over this last 15 to 20 year run that La Vega has been on with having these different squads, and he'll have a senior led offense. He's got big Ethan Thomas down there on the O-line for them. He'll be leading them. He's a senior, and they got a 4-year starter in at running back with Bryson Rowland, a guy that we've got to watch up close and personal doing on Centex Sports Network, doing the Conley games, a lot of Conley versus La Vega games we got to see. And for the last 3 years, he wasn't featured in all of them. And each one of those games, he showed why he's one of the top players in the Central Texas area. He's going into his senior year. Seems like this guy's been on the team for forever, but that's because he's been starting as a freshman, over 1,500 yards his freshman year. And he's coming into this game with 4,460 yards as a career. He's got a chance to break that 5,000 mark in his career, and he's got a chance to go into the top 10 rushers of all time in this Central Texas / Greater Waco area. So excited to see what he can do this coming up season. And Wayne, we got to watch a little bit of this squad last week during their scrimmage, that La Vega versus Waco High scrimmage. What are some of the things that you're excited to see and that you expect to see from this La Vega team as they take on Kennedale today?
High-powered as usual. Great running backs, great receiver, great quarterback, and their defense has always been their catalyst. So their offense is always going to be a team that can rush the ball. They'll always have great athletes, but their defense is always going to be the catalyst of why La Vega wins ball games. So 7-5, like you say, is an off year for some. I mean, it's a great year for some teams, but for La Vega, that's a down year. So they return most of those guys. We got to go out and watch a scrimmage about probably a week ago where they scrimmaged Waco High, and they actually dominated that scrimmage. So if they can go out and duplicate that and play like they did in that scrimmage, I expect some great things from La Vega.
Yeah, that defense is really what usually excels this team to that next level. They've won 2 state championships in the last 10 years, and every time they won, those defenses really kind of led those teams and led them to that championship. And then their run game, like you said as well, running the ball, playing physical power football is what's kind of led them to that. And their defense is going to be a big game for their defense because they're playing against a style of offense that I'm sure that you got a chance to see up close and personal many times. Kennedale runs that wing T option type of football offense. So and just covering the high school sports that I've been doing the last 4 or 5 years, every time somebody runs that offense, it's going to be a difficult night for the defense regardless, because assignment football is what's important when you're playing against that wing T. You got to stay to your assignment. You can't just try to follow the ball because that ball is going to look like it's going everywhere. They're going to be faking handoffs this way. They're going to have a lot of guys in motion at all times. Every play pretty much is going to be guys in motion. And then Kennedale's got great athletes over there as well. So when you mix that together with running and teams that can run it well, that wing T style offense, it's tough to defend whenever you're playing against that type of offense.
Exactly. That offense is a dinosaur, so now you have to make adjustments and you have to game plan for that because you don't see that type of offense in high school anymore. You see the 4 wides, you see the 1 back, or you see the empty backfield. So now you have to game plan for the wing T. It's a type of offense that I ran in high school. Like I said, it's a dinosaur, and I hadn't seen it around. Certain teams still run it, but you find very few teams in this area that runs that type of offense. So it'll definitely be a challenge for them. But I think they'll come out on top if they play assignment football and everybody take care of their responsibilities.
Yeah, if everybody can do that, and I know that's what Coach Hyde has been preaching to them all week, assignment football. it's tough when you play one of those teams. But if everybody can stick to their responsibilities, like you said, then you'll be able to come out on top. Especially when you think you have I think better athletes that La Vega has. So when you got super athletic guys out there playing on both sides of the ball like that, I think it's going to be tough on this Kennedale team. And La Vega coming in ranked number 8 in the state, and like we said, for most teams that's great, and for most teams that might be as high as they'll get ranked. For a La Vega team that's usually perennially in the top 5 in 4A Division II, that Coach Hyde is looking to get that ranking up as they move forward into the season for sure.
Right, and they have great expectations as they do every year, and they have something to prove this year. Like we said, as a down year, so they have something to prove, and I think they'll go out and prove it tonight. Just like you said, they had a better athletes, and most of the time when you have better athletes on teams, they usually prevail.
Yeah.
As long as they go out and they handle their business. So everybody is 0-0 starting the season. So you got to go out and take the first step, and I think they'll go and take that first step tonight.
Yeah, like we've been talking about for really the last couple of weeks, everybody's 0-0 coming into this. Everybody's got hope and everybody's got hype. They're coming into this game. I'm sure every team, every school has had a pep rally today. Probably every school has got all your football stuff is new. Your cleats looking new. Probably got some new sleeves or different stuff that the kids like to wear now.
Your face mask.
Yeah.
No grass stains.
Yeah.
So, man, it's time to go get dirty and leave it all between the lines now. I guess a lot of excitement in the air. We got the drill teams, you got the band, you got the cheerleaders, you got the parents. So everybody excited about week 1 of football this afternoon and this evening, and we'll just see what happens.
Yep, and so like we said, folks, you can hear the La Vega game. That will be here on CBS Sports Radio Central Texas and also on 94.5 Magic. And you'll be able to hear that on either one of those stations. So make sure you guys are tuning in and getting ready for that game. It's going to be a great one as well. I want to go to what some people consider to be the game of the week here in Central Texas. We got number 3 Franklin coming in, taking on a China Spring Cougars team at China Spring. I've been in that environment multiple times. It's a very tough place to play. The crowd is going to be loud out there when they score. They shut the lights off and get the lights flickering in there, and they got a big air horn going. So it's a great environment to be in for football. And Franklin's coming in. They've got something to prove. They went 14-2 last year, got all the way to the state game and lost in the state game. So they're going to be looking to come back in a huge way, and they get to punch up this time in a team, China Spring, that's now 4A back to 4A Division II, but in the last 3 or 4 years they've been 4A Division I. So Franklin team is ranked number 3 in 3A Division I. They're going to get a chance to punch up at some competition and take on a tough China Spring team. China Spring is having a lot of changes. They got new coaching staff in there. They're going to have a new quarterback in there. Matthew Battles is going to be their new QB, and he's got some big shoes to fill. They had Major Bowden there, who was, a problem when he was there at China Spring. One of their best players on that team. He ended up going to Lamar and to continue his career. Last year they had Cash McCollum, who we got to watch up close and personal on Centex Sports Network when they took on Conley, and I think he had about 4 touchdowns in the first half throwing the ball. The dude has got a super live arm. He's went on to North Texas to continue his football playing career. So he's got some big shoes to fill in coming in QB and new coaching staff. A lot of kids to replace coming out there, but this is a senior-heavy team. They got 28 seniors on this football team, so a very, very senior-heavy team, even though they're losing a lot of their big-name guys like a Cash McCollum, Kyle Barton, who was starting in their backfield for years, Trey Hafford out there, a receiver who was a problem out there as well. So they're trying to replace those guys, but it's a senior-led team. They're playing at home, and they're playing a team that's in a lower division that is a powerhouse that's been to state multiple times in the last 5 years. They've won a couple state championships in the last 5 years, and Franklin coming in going to look to make some noise. Wayne, what do you think about this matchup that's going to be in China Spring tonight?
A great challenge for both teams.
Yeah.
Like you said, China Springs is trying to replace all their skill positions, but they're good on the interior. But one thing that will lead them is the fact that they've been in the playoff for the last few years. And when you have a senior-laden team, those guys become those leaders, and they want to get back to where, they always end up, and that's in the playoffs. So it's going to be tough for Franklin to come in and kick their door down. I mean, you coming into my home, so you want to kick my door down and come into my home. Is China Springs going to let that happen, or is Franklin going to be able to come and do that? Franklin returns one of the best running backs in the state, and they were in the state championship game last year, and they didn't get it done.
Yeah.
So it basically comes down as to who's going to be the hungriest and who wants this game the most.
Yeah, like you said, definitely returning one of the best backs in the state, Jaden Jackson, who comes from a football family. His older brother was a dominant running back there, Franklin, a few years ago when they made their first state run to the championship. And Jackson's been there, and he's been their starter for a few years now. He's got offers from SEC schools like South Carolina. He's got offers from teams like Boston College, Tulsa. So this guy he's a guy out there, and they're definitely going to have to – the game plan is going to start with him if you're thinking about from a China Spring perspective. And Franklin, they're getting a chance to punch up. These are the type of games that you always want, especially when you want to start off and make a statement in the year. If you can go into a China Spring and in a tough environment playing a super, super tough football team, another team that's been in the state championship multiple times over the last 5 or 6 years, if you can go in there and get a win in a place like that, I mean, that gives you all the confidence in the world going forward for the rest of your season in the lower division in the 3A.
Yeah, your leverage. We always talk about leverage. So when you play up and you go in and you win, then your leverage, maybe you're ranked 10th. Well, you go up and you beat a China Springs, you're going to go all the way down to 3, 2, or 1, because China Springs is a perennial power as well. Mm-hmm. Just as well as Franklin. But the difference is Franklin's playing up and China Springs playing down. So for both teams, you have a lot for Franklin, you have a lot to gain. For China Springs, you have a lot to lose, because if you lose to a team on that level, that it's going to be tough going forward.
Yeah, if you lose to that team, it can kind of shake up your year a little bit and how you projected it. But they're in a gauntlet of a division. They put back the old division that was a staple here in Waco for so long with China Spring and Conley, La Vega. Stephenville used to be in it, but Stephenville's not anymore. They moved up in divisions. But you put all those teams together, China Spring has got some games coming up ahead of them as they move forward in the year. So this is going to be big for them, and this is a good measuring stick on, like we said, a new regime in there coaching, new quarterback, new players coming in. They're senior-led, but some of these guys weren't key pieces on the teams the last couple of years, but they're going to have to be this year coming into that. So this is going to be a huge measuring stick for them as they come into this game against a Franklin squad.
Right. And like you said, China Spring, they're in a rivalry district, where you have a rivalry every week. And with the La Vega, the Robinsons, the Conleys, the La Vegas. So, yeah, this is a big measuring stick for those guys, and we'll see if they can go out and get it done.
Yeah, excited to see what those guys can go out there and do here today. And that game will be at 7:30, I believe, in China Spring. Huge game that people from all over the state are coming to see. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of scouts in the stands, as these guys have talent all over the field for both sides, and we're excited to see that game as well. Want to touch a little bit on we talked about one half of that scrimmage we got to see last week, and want to touch on this Waco High team a little bit. They're going to be taking on a Granbury team that didn't have that great of a season last year as well. So they're coming in. They were 3-7 last year, so this is one of those games for Waco High. This can determine a lot for your season. The coach is back in there at Lyndon Helt, and he's wanting his guys to come in and make a statement. He knows the type of season that they've had really for the last 3 or 4 years, and he wants these guys to turn this around. And these guys are hungry to be able to turn this around. It's a senior-heavy team that Waco High has got this year. Their quarterback, R.J. Young, is going to be leading their offense. They've got Dante Ward, a lineman there that's got offers from different guys or different teams around the state. I think he's committed to UNLM down there in Louisiana. They got other guys coming back on the defensive side, O'Shawn Neal, Isaiah Livingston, guys that are experienced for this Waco High team. And like I said, Granbury, a team that didn't have that good of a year last year. So these are the games, if you're Waco High, that you got to come in and win these type of games, especially starting off your season.
Yes, you got to go and dominate a team like Granbury. If you want to be considered to be one of the best teams around in Central Texas, or and not one of the best teams in Central Texas, I just want to say that to take that step up to where you're consistently winning, and Waco High has to start that tonight against Granbury, a team that probably hadn't won a district or that's always at the bottom of their district for probably about the last 5 years. So games like this, you have to go out and dominate and show that you're taking a step in the right direction. So this will be a step in that direction, the right direction for Waco High if they can go out and win and give those young guys or those senior guys a lot of confidence going into the next game. And with Waco High, you have to take it one game at a time. You hadn't had a lot of success in the past, so now it's time to take it one game at a time, one step at a time, and you go out and play your best each and every Friday.
Yeah, this is, like you said, a step in the right direction if they can go out there and get a game up. What is something you think, if you're somebody on this coaching staff, or if you're the coach and you're coming off of having a couple bad years and, like you said, you're taking on sort of a lesser team, what is that one thing you want to come in and establish as this game starts? Do you want to come in on the defensive side and be like, we have to lock this side down? Do you want to come in on the offensive side and being like, we have to score points in order to win this game? What is the thing that you would try to focus and narrow in on if you were this Waco High team? You're coming off of, we said, some bad seasons, and you want to change that around, starting with this game. So what do you think the focus should be going into this Granbury game?
I think it's all three phases, offense, defense, and special teams. You know, I want guys to just go out and hit people in the mouth. Hey, let's go have some fun. Let's play hard as we can. And let's leave it all on the field. And if we can go out there and do that, we can be victorious. If we can't go out there and do that, then we're going to have the same results that we've been having the last few years. But I want guys to go out there. I want me some dogs to go out there and hit guys in the mouth and show that we come here to take care of business. And that's what they have to do. And it's all baby steps. So you have to start off with this game and be able to do that this game, and then just as the season go on, progress and get better and better. So it has to start somewhere. You have to start winning somewhere. So what better night than tonight?
Yeah, there's no better time than the present to be able to take advantage of what you want to try to do moving forward, and definitely rooting for this Waco High team. It's time to turn it around. The city feels a little bit better when Waco High football is at its power and all the teams in the city are competing at a high level, and Waco High is one of those teams that we know for years were a perennial powerhouse, and you got to take baby steps to get back to that level, and that could start with this year. So we'll be looking out for that Waco High team and seeing what they can do. I want to jump to, before we go into a quick break, the other side of the WISD and the University Trojans, a team that I'm big on this year, that I'm super excited to watch play football this year. Coach Johnson has done a phenomenal job in turning around that program, a team that had some really, really down years. And so we know it's possible, and that's from the team looking right across at you. If you're the Waco High side, that's the team that's right there with you in this Waco ISD. And University had some pretty abysmal years in the past, and they've been able to turn it around. Last year ended up getting to 7-4, which was a huge improvement, and they've been taking baby steps. And now, listening to Coach Johnson talk about this team throughout the summer, he's saying they're ready to take that leap, and they're ready to take on teams. They're playing Keller Central tonight, a team that wasn't good at all last year. So this will be a game that they can just use to get into their rhythm and move forward into the season. We know they got a huge game in a couple weeks. They got China Spring coming to WISD Stadium, and University, a team that I feel like can take over as that top dog in the city. If you were talking about at the highest level, at the 5A, 6A level, they're in the 5A division, and they're bringing back. They've got some guys out there. They moved their quarterback from last year over to receiver. They got J.D. Bell in, and at running back who had a great season last year, a former Mark Panther that came in and really made some differences. And they got a guy that's probably got the most offers in Central Texas. That's got the most offers in Central Texas in a London Smith, that receiver, to come in. So, Wayne, what are some of the things that you're hoping to see tonight from this University squad?
Well, a lot is being expected at University. A lot of excitement over there. And I personally have seen some of these guys work through the summer and for the last few years trying to get better. I think University has done a phenomenal job of getting these guys prepared and ready to go out and take that leap, like you say, to go out and win a district championship. And we were talking about Waco High a minute ago, but University was the Waco High 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So, like you say, it can be done. They taken the steps to get better. They brought in a new coach and restored some confidence in their guys and their players. And it's been a success, and we'll see how it translates tonight, if it translates into a win, and see where they go from here.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be huge. And just for this season, they're getting expectations put up on them already, but this is the time that you want to see that. You want to see, can these guys live up to expectations? Because the last few years, there haven't really been any expectations for University, and they were able to step up and move forward and get to a higher place. But now when you've got a guy like a London Smith who's got, 20, 30 plus offers from every Power 5, every Power 4 conference he's got offers from, and you see guys out there like even a Joaquin Martinez out there on the defensive side of the ball who's been making plays, and he's got offers from Power 4 schools as well. And you bring in guys like this. Coach K-Ron Johnson's really turned this program around. You want to see, can they live up to expectation? And they're taking on sort of a lesser team tonight in Keller Central. What is something you would want to see from them coming out tonight, knowing that this is not as big of a game, but you got plenty of big games coming up, especially in your non-district schedule? What is something you would like to see from your team if you were out there and you want your team to establish something going into this, knowing that it's a little bit of a lesser opponent, but you've got big expectations for the season?
I would like to see some consistency, error-free game. Everybody going out and working on their assignments, not a lot of penalties, but you want to be fresh. You want to be fresh. You want to see how your guys' conditioning is. You want to see if some guys that you probably had doubts about, see if they can step up, if they can play. You want to get something on film to see where you are and to see what steps need to be made to transition to a winning football team.
Yeah, and I think they've been taking all of those right steps over the last few years. Coach K-Ron Johnson came in a few years ago. The program, like you said, was not in the place that they had wanted it to be. And he's been able to come in and turn this around in a huge way. And I'm super excited to see what this team can do going forward. And can they take that step to come back and be sort of at the top and the cream of the crop when it comes to Central Texas football? And we'll get a chance to see that. And it starts here tonight, folks. I want to thank everybody who's been watching with us so far. Remember, you can watch this on Centex Sports TV on YouTube, also on Centex Sports Network on Facebook. You'll be able to see this every day, 5 to 7, or every weekday, 5 to 7. You'll be able to see us on there. Also, check us out on the Centex Sports One app if you want to be able to listen to this, whether that's in your car or whether that's at home, wherever you're at. They download that. That's Centex Sports One on the Google Play Store or on the Apple Store. You can also go to CentexSports1.com to be able to listen to this every day. We're getting ready to go to a break, folks. Before we do, I want to bring on here Roy Gillis coming live from La Vega. He'll be running the pregame show over there at La Vega as we get ready. That will be right here on CBS Sports Central Texas and on 94.5 Magic. Can you hear us over there from Bellmead, Texas in La Vega?
I do have you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got you on here.
Well, we are here live from Willie Williams Stadium in Bellmead, Texas, where we're getting ready for a great matchup between the Vega Pirates and Kennedale. The pregame show will be starting at 7 o'clock. I am here with actually the play-by-play person, none other than Cedric Eigelhart.
Yes, good to be here.
And so we're looking forward to a big-time matchup and make sure your people tune in. I need to give some instruction. Actually, the pregame show will actually be on 94.5 FM. It'll still be on some of the apps, but you can tune in at 94.5 FM right there on the dial and check it out. Check out the pregame show.
Yep. We are definitely excited for that, for this pregame show in Central Texas. Got a chance to talk about them a few minutes ago. So, folks, get ready for that. Like you said, 94.5 FM. That's where you can hear it right here on the dial. You'll be able to jump in and hear La Vega football starting tonight. Roy Gillis will be on there. Also, Cedric Eigelhart will be doing play-by-play as well. Excited to hear those guys on there. Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back for about the last 30 minutes of the show. We'll talk a little bit more high school football as we're getting ready for kickoff here, and we'll jump into some games on Saturday that we're excited to see as well. You're watching Centex Primetime right here on Centex Sports Network and on CBS Sports Central Texas. We'll be right back.
If you're in the mood for a great Southern-style home-cooked meal, then Sassy's at 719 South 11th Street in Waco is the place for you. Check out their lunch specials Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., including beef, pork, or chicken, and Sassy's delicious sides like fried cabbage, okra, and mac and cheese. Sassy's has your Sunday lunch covered as well from noon to 5 with all your favorites, plus collard greens, oxtails, glazed ham, and those sweet potatoes. Finish off your meal with homemade butter pound cake, sweet potato pie, and even milk and cookies. You can even share the greatness of Sassy's with others using their catering services. Come enjoy Sassy's great service and elegant, relaxed dining area 7 days a week at 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's invites you to join them for a delicious home-style Southern cooked meal in the heart of Waco, just a couple blocks from the silos at 719 South 11th Street. When you eat at Sassy's, you just don't eat, you feed your soul.
Book your next special event at the Bell Mead Civic Center. From quinceañeras to Christmas parties, the Civic Center has room to accommodate your needs. You're planning that special birthday party, having a family reunion, or training seminar. Book now at the Bell Mead Civic Center. Now, if you need to rent a room for that big event for your family or business function, the Bell Mead Civic Center is what you're looking for. Let their friendly and knowledgeable staff help take some of the hassle out of planning your next event. Call them today at 799-2418 or visit them at the Bell Mead Civic Center, conveniently located near I-35 and Loop 340. No matter if your event's big or small, they've got room for you.
When you are tired of good enough pizza and want the only authentic Italian quality pizza in town, with dough and sauce made fresh daily in-house, vegetables freshly chopped throughout the day, and meats made using the finest beef, pork, and chicken, I present to you locally owned and operated Marco's Pizza. Marco's has 3 convenient locations to serve you, including across from Pirate Stadium in Belle Meade. Feeding the entire family piping hot, authentic Italian fresh pizza, cheesy bread, and dessert tonight is as easy as going to marcos.com or stopping by the newest location in Belle Meade. Marco's Pizza. Say goodbye to just good enough.
When you suffer an injury at home, work, or on the road involving a car, 18-wheeler, or motorcycle, the first thing you need to do before calling anyone is dial 1-800-INJURIES for locally owned and operated the Zimmerman Law Firm. Hey, this is Big Rich, and the Zimmerman Law Firm has represented thousands of Central Texans in the last 50-plus years and handled more personal injury cases than any other local firm. When you call the Zimmerman Law Firm, you talk to a lawyer, no matter how big or small your case, and they guarantee you're financially taken care of because they only get paid when you win. Hey, don't just take my word for it. Heart of Texas Readers' Choice has named Zimmerman Law Firm the best in Waco. So remember, if you get injured at home, work, or on the road, it just takes one call, y'all, to 1-800-INJURIES or zlawhelp.com for the Zimmerman Law Firm and tell them I told you to call. Principal Office, Waco, Texas. No fee unless you recover.
If you're in the mood for a great Southern-style home-cooked meal, then Sassy's at 719 South 11th Street in Waco is the place for you. Check out their lunch specials Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., including beef, pork, or chicken, and Sassy's delicious sides like fried cabbage, okra, and mac and cheese. Sassy's has your Sunday lunch covered as well from noon to 5 with all your favorites, plus collard greens, oxtails, glazed ham, and those sweet potatoes. Finish off your meal with homemade butter pound cake, sweet potato pie, and even milk and cookies. You can even share the greatness of Sassy's with others using their catering services. Come enjoy Sassy's great service and elegant, relaxed dining area 7 days a week at 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's invites you to join them for a delicious home-style Southern cooked meal in the heart of Waco, just a couple blocks from the silos at 719 South 11th Street. When you eat at Sassy's, you just don't eat, you feed your soul.
Book your next special event at the Bell Mead Civic Center. From quinceañeras to Christmas parties, the Civic Center has room to accommodate your needs. You're planning that special birthday party, having a family reunion or training seminar. Book now at the Bell Mead Civic Center. And if you need to rent a room for that big event for your family or business function, the Bell Mead Civic Center is what you're looking for. Let their friendly and knowledgeable staff help take some of the hassle out of planning your next event. Call them today at 799-2418 or visit them at the Bell Mead Civic Center, conveniently located near I-35 and Loop 340. No matter if your event's big or small, they've got room for you.
When you suffer an injury at home, work, or on the road involving a car, 18-wheeler, or motorcycle, the first thing you need to do before calling anyone is dial 1-800-INJURIES for locally owned and operated the Zimmerman Law Firm. Hey, this is Big Rich, and the Zimmerman Law Firm has represented thousands of Central Texans in the last 50-plus years and handled more personal injury cases than any other local firm. When you call the Zimmerman Law Firm, you talk to a lawyer, no matter how big or small your case, and they guarantee you're financially taken care of because they only get paid when you win. Hey, don't just take my word for it. Heart of Texas Readers' Choice has named Zimmerman Law Firm the best in Waco. So remember, if you get injured at home, work, or on the road, it just takes one call, y'all, to 1-800-INJURIES or zlawhelp.com for the Zimmerman Law Firm and tell them I told you to call. Principal Office, Waco, Texas. No fee unless you recover.
CBS Sports Central Texas, KWBT HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.
Welcome back into Centex Prime Time as we're here in the home stretch of the show, folks. Still here, joined with Wayne Walker here in studio, and we're been chopping it up about some football here, high school football, some college football. We're gonna do a couple more high school football games, and then we'll end it off with some of these college football games that we're excited to see. So, talked about a few teams around the area. I want to talk about one team that I'm definitely going to be paying attention to for multiple reasons. For one, I went there and graduated from there 10 years ago. Our class reunion is actually in a few months. So excited to see this team play, and it's the Midway Panthers. They're taking on Round Rock Westwood, who's 7-3 team football team last year. So this will be a good test for them. They've got a new coach out there. Joe Gillespie is the head coach now of the Midway Panthers. They'll be playing this game at UMHB. Joe Gillespie there, a guy that came from the college ranks. He was got some running at TCU and a couple other college teams, but before there, he was at Stephenville, who was a perennially a good team. Had a 75% win record while he was there. So I mean, this guy, we know he can coach. He's got to see it all from good high school football teams and good college teams as well. So got a lot of expectations for Joe Gillespie out there. They're going to be taking on Round Rock Westwood. Like I said, a team that was good last year. Midway lost some guys last year from graduation, but they're gaining some guys as well. Cash Pullen will be starting for them under center. They're going to be bringing some guys back like Tyler Seth, receiver that's been there a few years, and one of the young guys in Lathan Wysinton. So they'll see him out there as well. So they're excited. They've got Donovan Jones will be out there returning as well. I think he's got some offers at the linebacker position. I think he's might have already done his commitment, I think, to Oklahoma State. So these guys, they've got some talent in Midway, and that's kind of what we're used to seeing, at least what I'm used to seeing from the Midway squad. They've some super talented teams over the last few years. They went to state in 2019, and majority of those, not majority, but they've got about 4 or 5 of those guys that are playing in the league right now. So we know that these teams have always had talent, and they're looking to get back to that as well. So what do you think about this Midway team and them taking on a Round Rock team that was good last year?
Well, it's always interesting to see a team with a new coach and see what he brings to the team. I know they had a down year last year, but they were in a tough district.
Yeah.
Now they changed districts, and we'll see what Gillespie can do. You know, like you say, he's been a guy that's been successful everywhere he's went. Took over for Art Browse, I want to say, and won a couple of state championships. So we'll see what he can do to improve the Midway Panthers this year. I know there's a lot of excitement going on about him coming to coach this team. So we'll see. We'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah, excited to see just, you know, what type of product can they put out there. Like we said, last few years really tough, but they were in a super tough district, especially a couple years ago when they were in there with DeSoto and Duncanville and Cedar Hill and all that kind of stuff. When you mount that on top of them already having a down year, I mean, it can look ugly out there, and it did at certain points. But last year, they won their last 5 games of the season, I want to say, and that propelled them into a playoff game, and they got to go back to the playoffs. So to be able to feel that again and get that energy of going back to the playoffs, and you bring back some of those guys that got to experience that last year, they're going to look to propel them and try to take that, move that forward with them and keep that momentum going that they had last year, running off those last 5 games in district. And they've got a shot to win their district. They've got some tough teams in there. Harker Heights is in there as well, and some other teams, some other Killeen schools. So they got some tough competition, but it's a wide open district. There really isn't just a powerhouse favorite in that district. So Midway's got a chance to do some big things out there and get back to that status that they're used to having.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it's a wide open district, you know, so, you know, it'll be interesting to see who propels, who comes out of this district, and you'll be able to tell early in the year who's going to be the favorite and who's going to be the powerhouses in this district, because it is an old district, but it's a new district all at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this district.
Yeah, excited to see them out there, and we're looking for big things. Shout out to Coach Gillespie, and excited to see how you can get this train back rolling for this Midway Panther squad, a team that, like I said, I've definitely been watching for years, and excited to see them get back to that status that they're used to having as far as being one of the premier teams in this area. Another team that had a chance to watch closely over the last few years, really since 2019, the Conley Cadets, and we got to really get our start in doing a lot of this sports stuff with this team and the Conley Cadets, and they've had a lot of good teams over the years, over the last 5-6 years since we've been there, and they lost a lot of star power last year, so they're looking to retool coming in as well. They lost to Kiefer Sibley, who's one of the best backs in the Central Texas area, if not the best back in the Central Texas area. He's gone on to go to North Texas. He'll be there. They lost probably the biggest recruit in the Central Texas area, well, actually the biggest recruit in the Central Texas area, with Kobe Black, who's at Texas, who's actually in that depth chart there at Texas. So I'm excited to see if he'll get some burn or not, and we'll see that as their season progresses. And they've lost a lot of big names over the last few years. Jelani McDonald also there at Texas. Trey Wisner also there at Texas. So they've put some guys out and put some guys up in the ranks, but they're retooling. Coach Garrick is still there. He's been a staple for this team even back when we first started with Conley. I think he was the offensive coordinator there when Coach Anderson was still the coach, and he took over for Anderson once he went to Midway. And Coach Garrick has been a steady force for this team. He's expecting big things. Once again, he knows they've got a younger team coming in this year. They graduated a lot of guys last year outside of the big names that we named. They graduated a lot of guys, but they still have some talent out there. A guy like C.J. Evans, who has been waiting on the time to get his shine on there. He's going to get some time in at quarterback, and he'll play some other positions. And they've got their mainstay there in Jamarian Vincent, who we got a chance to cover closely last year. And this guy is a stud. He's got offers already from multiple schools around the country, Baylor being one included. Hopefully he'll be one of those people that can kind of stay home and reignite that Baylor program. But he's got offers from multiple schools throughout the Big 12, the ACC, SEC. So he's a big name product, and he'll be sharing some time at quarterback as well, what he played last year. But an exceptional athlete, one of the better DBs in the Central Texas area for sure, I believe, and very explosive when he gets the ball. They're taking on an academy team that's in the lower ranked 3A, but they were 10-3 last year. A really good squad that Academy had, so this will be a really, really good test for the cadets as they get started over. I think they'll kick off at about 7:30 as well over there in Lacey Lakeview. So, what's some things you're excited to see from this Conley team?
Well, Conley is a team that inherits talent year in and year out. So they're always going to be one of those teams that's going to be 1, 2, or 3 in their district. And that's the way it's been with them in the Vega and China Springs as those guys and the Lorenas and the Gatesfields and all those teams. But it'll be interesting to see what Conley has. They lost a wealth of talent from last year, Kobe Black, so we'll see it'll be interesting to see what they do this year and how they can bring it on the field and in their district with La Vega and China Springs and all those guys, because for one that La Vega is going to bring it. China Springs is going to bring it. So we're going to see what Conley's going to do.
Yeah, that La Vega game is going to be a big one. I think Conley got the better of them the last couple of years, so La Vega's definitely going to be looking to get back as well when they come into La Vega. I think they play at La Vega this year because they were at Conley last year, so that's going to be a huge game in that one. And like you said, just being able to compete in this district, you got a China Spring in there, you've got teams like La Vega in there, and so this is going to be a tough division, like we're used to seeing it being a tough division. Right. So excited to see what Conley can do moving forward throughout the year. And shout out to Coach Garrick for sure for being a steady force for this program over the last few years. One more high school game I want to talk about. One of the teams you kind of talked about a little bit last week when we talked about some high school football. The Mart Panthers, ranked number 4 in the state. 2A football. A lot of people might not look at this as premier football, but Mart Panthers is one of the most historic teams in Texas football history. They're one of the most winningest programs in Texas football history, and they're looking to repeat that again this year like they always do. They're ranked number 4. They lost in the state game last year, and over the last few years, it seems like every other year they're in state, winning state, or they're in state and they lose in the state game, or maybe the state semifinal last year they lost in the state game against Albany. So they've got a lot to get off their chest. They're bringing back some of their guys. They're bringing back DeMontrell Medlock, and it seems like every time you look at this Mart team, it's going to be somebody last name Medlock out there. Might be 2 or 3 of them out there sometimes, and they're going to be one of the premier players on the team. But this Mart team poised for another great year. They're getting a good test at Whitney, and Whitney's got some good players over there, especially this year. They got a couple kids out there with some offers, so I'm excited to see how this game is going to go. But Mart, a perennial powerhouse every single year, looking to put on another great season. They went 15-1 last year. Only loss was in the state game, so if they're looking to pretty much duplicate their season from last year, but just finish it off in that state game.
Yeah, a powerhouse in Central Texas, a town and that takes pride in their team, and from year in to year out that Mart is going. A district championship isn't anything to those guys. It's state championships that they look forward to, and they've won more than any team around in this area. And they'll be right up there this year, probably playing for a state championship because they lost one last year, but they'll be right back where they were last year. And they just seem to turn in and turn out great teams year in and year out.
Yeah, it's really amazing to be able to watch, and that's one of the things I admire about this Mart program is because every year you have the expectation to come in and win. If you've been playing at Mart for the last 15, 20 years, every single year you're expected to win state. Honestly, you're expected from your home crowd faithful and from teams around to win state every single year. And every year they come in and deliver at a high level, whether that be them winning state or getting to the state game or getting to the state semifinals. That's a lot of pressure to put on a lot of, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. And every single year they're able to come out and deliver that still. So it's really inspiring to be able to watch this Mart program and how they've been able to have this sustained success over the last, as long as I can remember, especially the last 20 years, dating all the way back to when they had Quan Cosby, a guy that ended up being a standout at Texas years later. And they've been putting on for their city, ever since then, really.
Exactly. Like I said, a district championship is just one step, but their main goal is to win state championships. That's what their expectations are year in and year out. And this year will be no different. So I look forward to seeing what they'll do this year. I know they return one of probably one of the best running backs in Central Texas, and they'll be fine on the skill position side. So we'll see what they do this year. But like I said, look for them to be in the state championship game again this year.
Yeah, I got the same expectations. I'm excited to watch some more March football dominating as usual. Folks, want to thank everybody been watching with us so far today. As we go to this final about 10 or 12 minutes that we got on here, want to talk about some of this college football. I mean, Colorado got everybody excited yesterday and starting off the season with a really good game, and we've got more great football getting ready to start this weekend. A lot of good games on the slate. We got Baylor versus Tarleton, who we know that's not one of the premier games, but it's a local game, and we expect Baylor to take care of business there against Tarleton State as they come up. But as we look at some of these more ranked games coming into this weekend, want to get your opinion on some of these. We can start with the one we were kind of talking about a second ago. This Notre Dame taking on Texas A&M at Kyle Field. That's going to be a huge game. Anybody that's been to Kyle Field, I've been before. It's going to be loud. This is one of the biggest stadiums in the nation as far as football, just in general. It's bigger than most pro stadiums for sure. And that crowd is going to be super loud coming in there. They got Notre Dame coming in, and A&M, they're looking for some bounce back years, man. They've had so much talent over the last few years and just haven't really been able to deliver with the amount of talent that they've had coming in there. So they're ranked number 20 as they start the season off, and they got the number 17 coming in the nation, coming in to start the season off, and A&M is a 3-point favorite in this game. What do you think about this A&M Notre Dame game?
Well, for sure, one of the best games of the weekend. With this 12-team playoff system that we have now, this game is big for both of those teams because both of these teams play a stacked schedule, and A&M is in the Southeast Conference, and Notre Dame being an independent, but still, or in the ACC, they still have to play quality opponents. So this game would be a step in the right direction for either one of those teams, whoever wins. A&M coming in with a new coach, Marcus Freeman coming in from Notre Dame,
yeah,
and he has to get some things done. And actually, the coach from Elko, who is at A&M, the quarterback that was his quarterback at Duke last year is the quarterback for Notre Dame this year. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Going to be a great game. And like you said, it'll be at A&M Stadium, Aggie Stadium, which if you've ever been there and seen the stands shake and the guys rock back and forth and the cannon go off, it's probably one of the most exciting, most intimidating stadiums you can ever play in.
For sure. Probably, I mean, it's right up there. I haven't got a chance to go to Death Valley in LSU, but so A&M is probably the loudest stadium I've ever been inside of, that type of atmosphere. I mean, it can get crazy there. So that's going to be a huge game for both teams. And like you said, for both teams trying to get their season started, both teams have high expectations coming into this year, and that's what makes it fun. Want to look at one of these Big 12 matchups that we got here. It's not two Big 12 teams, but West Virginia's in the Big 12, and we know that's always one of the scrappy teams in the division. They've got expectations of getting better this year, and they're going to be taking on Penn State, a team that's got super high expectations every year, but this year they're ranked number 8. James Franklin has been at Penn State for a long time now as the coach, and he's wanting to take that next step. They just haven't been able to take it, whether it was back when they had Saquon Barkley or when they had Jahan Dotson a few years ago with different guys. They just haven't been able to take that next step, but they're taking on a quality opponent in West Virginia. Penn State's an 8.5-point favorite coming into this game. What do you think about this Penn State game?
Well, I think that's going to be an interesting game as well. The Big 12 against the Big 10. And so you want to see where you're measured at. You want to see where you're at. You want to see where you're measured 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 at that's been taking a step in the right direction. They got a coach that's been there for a few years, and it's time for him to win. It's either time for him to put up or shut up. So are you going to shut up or you going to put up? James Franklin the same way.
Yep.
Are you going to put up or shut up? It's been Michigan, Ohio State that's been winning, and they've been coming out and being that team that's getting that third bid for a bowl or in that conference. So it'll be interesting. I don't know where is this game going to be played at, and is it in West Virginia?
I think it is at West Virginia. So
it's going to be tough. It's going to be
a tough place to win.
It's going to be a game of it's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Another one of those games that I'm looking forward to seeing is USC, and LSU.
Huge game.
Yeah, two teams that lost Heisman quarterback.
Yeah,
that went 1-2 in the draft. I'll say.
Yeah,
and so that's going to be a great game. Two explosive offenses, two teams that can score. It's going to be back and forth, but what I'm looking for in this game is to see which defense is going to shine, because neither one of these teams played defense last year, but they had a lot of firepower on the offensive end of the field.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch that game. Big game. That's in Vegas too, so it's kind of a neutral site game that gets both teams going. They get to be out of town for a few weeks, a few days, something that you've been a part of before, and being able to get that. And they're going out there, and it's going to be a tough game. Like you said, both teams trying to replace Heisman winners. It's that simple. The 1 and 2 pick in the draft came from USC and LSU at quarterback, and LSU has got a guy in there that we got to see some last year and expected some big things from him. And like you said, really, I'm waiting to see what can this LSU defense look like. Like you said, they didn't play much defense last year, but they got guys out there like a Harold Perkins who could potentially be a top 10 pick in the draft.
Right. And a team that staple has been defense, and offensive well, but the skill positions, the defensive backs, and you had those guys that go high in the draft year in and year out with LSU. Are they going to get back to that, or are they going to give up points like they did last year? But with a Brian Kelly team that you're going to be explosive offensively, but what can you bring defensively?
Yeah, I'm looking to see, can he bring that staple back to, because people had some issues with some of the ways that Coach Ed Orgeron did things there, but that defense was always going to be a staple being under Coach O. So super huge game. We're excited to see, and that game is on Sunday actually. So we'll get some football on a Sunday.
Yeah, we'll get that game on Sunday,
and that's going to be super exciting to watch. Want to go to probably the premier game before we get off of here. Premier game of the weekend. Number 1 Georgia taking on Clemson. That's number 14 Clemson. That's going to be a huge game. These schools are, relatively right next to each other. Georgia coming in, and then Clemson being right there in South Carolina right above them. So a lot of these guys have probably played against each other for years, and both two teams that have a lot to prove. Georgia wants to get back. They're coming in at number 1, but they want to get back to elite status of being the dog in national in the college ranks. And then Clemson, somebody that was the dog in the college ranks for some years with Dabo Swinney, and haven't really able to get back to that Deshaun Watson / Trevor Lawrence type of era yet. They got a Texas guy in there, a quarterback. They got Cade Klubnik, came from Westlake. He was starting at quarterback. So what do you think about this Georgia-Clemson game?
Well, we talk about Clemson. So Clemson has been in the spotlight, but hadn't been in the spotlight the last few years, but has been a perennial national championship type caliber type team. So now if you want to get back to that and you want to take a step in the right direction, you go and knock off Georgia and you take that step. Well, that's going to be a tough challenge, because we all know that Georgia is probably one of the best, ranked number 1 in the nation right now.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough task for Clemson, but I think they'll go in and they'll play well. Dabo always brings it, and his teams always bring it. He's passionate about, Clemson and them being one of those top 10, 15 teams every year.
Yeah.
So anything can happen week 1. I'll be watching, and we'll see what happens. I'll be rooting for Clemson as well.
Yep, and I'll be watching that game as well, folks. A lot of good football that we are excited to see, and it's starting here with high school football here tonight, and then moving to the next day to college football. So, super huge football weekend for all of us football fans here, especially here in Central Texas. Folks, want to thank everybody for listening and watching with us today here on the show. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube Centex Sports TV. And you're also going and downloading the app Centex Sports One and going on to CentexSports1.com and make sure you can listen to this every weekday, 5 to 7. We're getting ready to get you guys ready for some high school football, La Vega football coming up right after this, folks. So stay right here on Centex Sports Central Texas, CBS Sports Central Texas, and you can jump over and go to the dial, 94.5. The beat, and be able to watch us right there. So I'm getting ready to go and take you guys right over to La Vega Stadium, to Willie Williams Stadium over there in Belmead, and get you guys going with Roy Gillis and with Cedric Eigelhart. Roy, can you guys hear us over there?
Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got you.
All right. Hey, welcome everybody to La Vega High School football here on opening weekend. What an exciting day it is to be a part of Texas high school football. There's nothing else like Texas high school football. We're getting ready for a great matchup here in Belmead, Texas. My name is Leroy Gillis, and I'll be doing color today, but our play-by-play person will be none other than Cedric Eigelhart. Cedric, what do you think about what we got going on?
Really excited about what we're going to see tonight. I had a chance to talk to the Vega head coach, Don Hyde. They have like 18 returning starters, 9 on defense. So this is a team that knows how to win, and they have a foundation that they can build on. Looking forward to this game with Kennedale. La Vega, this has been their third year in a row playing Kennedale. Last year they won 35-28. The year before they blew them out 34-7. So these are two programs that are familiar with one another. Two really, really solid programs.
Solid programs. And, you know, La Vega is a storied program here in the Central Texas area, obviously winning 2 state championships, and they're always in the running. Last year they had somewhat of a down year for their standards. But in talking to Coach Hyde, I know you got a chance to speak with him. He's looking for a little turnaround this year.
Yeah, and Coach Hyde has his whole theory is this. I don't worry about how we start. I just want to make sure that we get better from week to week.
From week to week.
So by the time these guys get through district, you know, they're going to be battle tested. They're going to be, hopefully they'll be an improving squad. And that's how you make a state run.
You're listening and watching to La Vega High School football here on Friday evening on Centex Magic 94.5. Also, you can catch that on Centex Sports Network. I do believe that they have that, and on I don't know if they got it on CBS Sports, but we're looking forward. This is preseason for us too, so I'm asking the audience if we mess something up, you know, don't kill us. But it's preseason for us too, and we're looking for a great matchup. Temperatures around 90 degrees. It is looking good right now.
Beautiful weather for a high school football game. Obviously, you're talking about Texas at the end of August, so it's going to be some heat. But clear skies. Perfect atmosphere for high school football. Absolutely.
We're thankful. So Cedric came on board and he's hit the ground running. And so we're looking forward to a great season out of these La Vega Pirates. Next week we got them right here back in Willie Williams Stadium.
Against Salina.
Hey.
It's going to be another major program coming in here.
It's going to be a knuckle buster coming up on next week. And so from Centex Sports Network and CBS Sports Radio, we want to thank you. We're getting ready to kick it back in the studio. You've been listening to Leroy Gillis on color and Cedric Eigelhart. They're texting me from the studio saying, "Hurry up, wrap it up." Hey,
from La Vega as they wrap this one up, and they put on in a major way taking on a Kennedale team that is a really good team. 45-15 is your final score. Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some Texas high school football. We got scores from all around Central Texas, and we'll even jump to some of these other scores from around the Texas area when we come back We'll get into some more of those. You're watching the post-game show on 94.5 FM and on Centex Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blasian Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blasian Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
CBS Sports Central Texas, KWBT HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.
And welcome back into the post-game show here on CBS Sports Central Texas / 94.5 FM, 94.5 Magic. For those of you getting in your cars and riding back, we want to thank you guys for listening with us. And for those of you that are tuning in with us on Facebook, or we've got some people tuning in with us on YouTube, Centex Sports TV on YouTube. Want to thank you guys for joining in with us. What a great game we got to see here today, folks, from the Vega Pirates as they defeated Kennedale 45-15. And what a statement made here today. What a statement made by this team and by Coach Hyde as they come out and get this 30-point win here today, taking on, like we said, a tough Kennedale team, folks. So La Vega looking good. They're looking good as they start the season off. Jabari Thornton was the player of the game here today. 121 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns to go with that. Another one of these Thornton kids. Remember, there was one that played quarterback last year for this La Vega Pirate team. He was really good. Now we're getting to see the younger brother kind of take that next step. He's looking like a stud as well. Folks, want to thank everybody once again for listening in with us. My name is Jalen Gillis as I'm here hosting the post-game show. Also host the show Centex Primetime 5 to 7 weekdays. You can catch that here on Centex Sports Network and on CBS Sports Central Texas 94.5 HD channel. Make sure you guys tune into that. That's Monday through Friday, 5 to 7. Folks, we've got a lot of good games going on around Central Texas and a lot of games that are finished up already. We just talked about this La Vega Kennedale game. One of the games we were keeping an eye on earlier in the night when we were talking about it in halftime was this Franklin versus China Spring game. Number 3 Franklin in 3A Division I taking on number 11 China Spring in 4A Division II. That game's got about 8 minutes left to go. Franklin right now up 40-30, but China Spring has been coming back in the second half. I've been tuning in and watching the game, and Franklin's looking good. Franklin looks real good out there, and Franklin is one of these teams that we talked, like we said in halftime, that's starting to turn into one of these powerhouse teams in Central Texas. Been to multiple state championships. They've won a couple. They lost last year in the state championship, so we know this team can go. They're getting a real good test taking on a China Spring team, a proven China Spring team over the years, and China Spring replacing a lot of guys. I'm liking what I'm seeing, though, from this quarterback. I am liking what I'm seeing from the quarterback, though, so far. He's throwing some bombs out there. Matthew Battles, the new QB, a senior, taking over. You know, China Spring's got big shoes to fill when you step in and play at the quarterback spot, but he's been doing a great job here so far. They started out a little bit shaky, but China Spring, they know how to march their way back and able to make some noise in that one. I want to shift over to my old stomping grounds, my alma mater, Midway High School, as they're under a new coaching regime. Joe Gillespie there, and he's done a great job, a real good job so far with this team, and I've heard nothing but good things from out of that camp about what Coach Gillespie has brought to this team. He's come from the college ranks, and he also Used to coach at Stephenville some years ago, and he was a great coach there. So far, looking like a great coach here at Midway. 43-7 win over Round Rock Westwood, a team that we know won 7 games last year, 7-3, a Midway team that won their last 5 games, and it looks like they're taking that momentum right into this next year as they're going out here, and they put up a great win, 43-7. Huge statement made right there by this Midway team, letting them know, hey, we're here to stay, and we're going to make some noise. Their running back, the sophomore, Lathan Wysenton, believe is his name, and he looks like a stud out there, folks. I got a chance to tune in and watch some of that game as well. I've been watching a little bit of everything, kind of like NFL Red Zone is what it's looked like back here in the studio. Had multiple screens going on multiple different games, so I got a chance to tune into this one, mostly because my nephew was playing on the team out there, and he got his chance to get some burn on varsity's first game out there, and he looked good as well. But this Lathan kid, he looks like a guy. He's young. He's only a sophomore, and they're gonna have some good running coming from him. Trying to keep up that tradition of good Midway running backs that they've had going all the way back to when I really was watching big time when they first started around 08, 09, when they had Jay Hubert back there running that ball, and it looks like he's keeping up that tradition of good running backs there at Midway. So a 43-7 win for Midway over Round Rock Westwood. Temple in the third quarter, they're up 35-20. A&M Consolidated, a ranked team, taking on Lake Belton. Lake Belton down right now, 26-14. They're in the fourth quarter of that game. Very low-scoring game, but looked to be competitive. Waco High versus Granbury. Granbury able to get that one 3-0, so low-scoring game, and we'll check in some more on Waco High as this season progresses. We're looking for some better football from them. University taking on Keller Central. University up 38-26 right now, and it looks like in the fourth quarter, University with a 12-point lead in that game. The Conley Cadets, a team that I've been watching for the last 5 or 6 years now. A lot of talent on that team still. They came out in this game playing a good academy team, and they made a statement here tonight, folks. 46-22. Conley looking like they're here to stay. This district is going to be so competitive, folks, with La Vega and China Spring, Conley in there as well. This is going to be a very competitive district, and I cannot wait to be able to watch some of these games, folks. 46-22 win for Conley in that one. Almost at the end of the third quarter, Gatesville up 28-14, taking on Taylor. Gatesville, another team in this district, and it looks like they're off to a good start for the beginning of their season. Austin Regents up 37-15 on Lorena as they go into the fourth quarter. And we've got an overtime game to start this one off. West versus Robinson. We're tied at 21 apiece as they head to OT, folks. That is a real good game. Excited to see the box score from that one. That one is over with. Tied up at 21 apiece there, West and Robinson. Two really good programs. Robinson, another team in that division with La Vega and Conley and China Spring, and that's going to be a real good district, folks. I can't wait to watch some of those games. McGregor and Hillsboro. Looks like McGregor in the fourth quarter down against Hillsboro by 8 points. 11-19 is the score. Hillsboro with the lead. A game that nobody could have guessed right here, folks. We talked about it a little bit in the halftime show, and we talked about it pregame. We definitely didn't think this would be the outcome, even though I've been keeping my eye on this team. Whitney up 36-8. You did hear that right, folks. 36-8. Whitney beating Mart. Mart, the number 4 team in the state, lost in the state championship last year. Went 15-1 last year. Only loss was in state. I still expect great things from this Mart team, but Whitney looking like they got some ballers over there at state. Keep your eye out on that Whitney team, folks. They got some kids with some offers already coming out of that Whitney program, so make sure you guys keep your eye open for that team. Grosbeck versus Rogers. It is the fourth quarter. They're tied up at 28 apiece as that game looking good as they head towards the fourth quarter. Powell Westwood taking on Mahia. Mahia down big in this one, 63-28. Fairfield taking on Maypearl. Maypearl up by 8 points as they're in the second quarter, 28-20. Teague taking on New Waverly. Teague wins this one 28-7. A good win for Teague as they start their season off. Cameron Yo taking on LaGrange. Cameron Yo down by 15 points. Cameron Yo, another really good team in this Central Texas area-ish. Kind of Central Texas-ish. 20-35, LaGrange is up in that one. In the third quarter, this game was tied, I believe, in the second quarter, maybe in the halftime, but Troy's pulled away. 42-21 lead for Troy as they take on one of their rivals in Salado. Kind of a battle of I-35 right there. Riesel versus Chilton. Chilton was able to pull out that win. Riesel versus Clifton, Riesel versus Clifton. And Clifton gets the upset win right there as they get the win over Riesel. Riesel, a really good squad, expecting big things from them this year once again. But Clifton with the upset win, folks. We're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of that as we move through the beginning of this football season, not only in high school football, but we're going to see that in college football tomorrow too. I know we got some college football fans on here listening with us. Cannot wait to sit in front of the TV tomorrow and watch some of these games before I head off to the Baylor game at 6 o'clock. Baylor taking on Tarleton State tomorrow. I'll be there for that one. But before that, I will be tuning in to some of those games in college football from around the nation. Axtell versus Milano. Axtell with the big win, 52-0. Barlett taking on Bosqueville. Bosqueville comes out with the win by 8 points, 21-12 in that game. Hubbard taking on Dawson as we go to some of the smaller divisions. Hubbard with a huge win, 62-0. Moody up with a narrow lead right now, taking on Itasca, 20-18 in that one. That is a good game going on, folks. Wortham taking on Valley Mills. Valley Mills down by 4 points there in the fourth quarter. Bruceville Eddy starts their season off with the win. Kind of an odd score there, 28-5 as they come out with the win over Meridian. Crawford down early in the fourth quarter. They're down by 7 points, 12-19 is the score, taking on Anderson Shiro. Marlin, another team we're expecting big things from this season. They're taking on Lexington. Lexington putting on right now, up 27-0 as they take on a really good Marlin team. Expecting big things from that Marlin squad this year. Can't wait to catch some of those games. Rosebud Lott with the big win over Florence, 42-0. Bremond, another one of these small schools in Central Texas that's got some talent on it. Going to be able to catch a couple of their games this year as well. Bremond taking on Cairns. They win this game 30-13. Chilton in a close one taking on Hearn, 13-6 as Chilton starts off in the win column. Winters against Frost. Winters able to come out with the win. Centex Outlaws taking on Bishop Riker. They win 42-15. Coolidge and Blum with the 46-16 lead in that game. Aquila, six-man football here. Aquila taking on Covington. Aquila with the 22-6 lead. Some more six-man football scores. Walnut Springs and Ranger. Walnut Springs with a huge win in this one, 72-27. Abbott taking on Oglesby. Abbott puts up a 60-piece, 68-40, as they come out with the win over Oglesby. Golson drops the game against Avalon, 46-0. Jonesboro taking on Abilene Christian, 60-13. Jonesboro comes out with the win in that one. Iredell taking on Newcastle, 50-22 win for Newcastle in that game. Cranfield's Gap taking on Morgan. Morgan comes out with the win, 33-12. Three-Way taking on Evant, and Three-Way wins that one 49-0. So folks, we've got a lot of scores from all over the Central Texas area as I'm still in studio watching the end of this China Spring and Franklin game. Franklin scores again, and China Spring's going to drop this game to start the season. This is going to be a huge win for Franklin as they get to go to China Spring. As we all know, a very tough place to play. That is one of the better atmospheres in Central Texas. If you're talking about a football game, it's always rocking out there, especially to start the season off. So a big win for Franklin going out there on the road and picking up a dub. It's 46-30 right now with about 2.5 minutes left to go as I'm watching that one. And Franklin's probably going to pull that game out. Folks, want to thank everybody that's been listening with us. We're getting ready to close this out in a couple minutes as we near towards the end of the night here, folks. Want to thank everybody, like I said, that watched with us today, that listened with us today. We had the pregame show, the pre-show before the pre-show, 5 to 7 today. I had Wayne Walker on here with me. You can go and check that out on YouTube, and you can go on to CentexSports1.com and check us out there if you want to listen back to some of those episodes. He'll be with us next week as well as we go over some of the games from this last weekend. Also had Kyrell Gibson on there with me earlier, and PJ Gaither did the halftime show with me as well. So I want to say thank you to those guys that got a chance to jump on there with me. 5 to 7 every day, Centex Primetime, every weekday, I should say. 5 to 7, Centex Primetime. Make sure you guys tune in for that on CBS Sports Central Texas. You can go to CentexSports.com, CentexSportsNetwork.com, and check me out on there. Also, you can go to Centex Sports TV on YouTube, and we're there live every single day if you want to watch it. If you want to listen, whether you're in your house or in your cars, you can go on to CentexSports1.com, or you can download the app, Centex Sports 1, on the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. We're there live every weekday, 5 to 7. So make sure you guys tune in to that one. And this China Spring Franklin game, close to the end, 46-30 there. See Lake Belton down 26-21 as they're near the end of that game as well. Midway through the fourth quarter, University up 41-26 against Keller Central. So we'll be looking out for the end of that one. And looks like West and Robinson going to a second overtime, folks, a second overtime. So a lot of good games around the Central Texas area, folks. Make sure you guys check out some of these box scores. Make sure you guys are looking out here on Centex Sports Network as we'll be bringing some more of these scores and stuff to you as well. We're getting ready to sign off here tonight, folks. Want to thank everybody once again. Thanks to all our sponsors, Blazing Asian, for being one of the sponsors here today. We had NSJ Venco on here as well as one of the sponsors. Want to thank you guys for being a sponsor as well. Getting ready to sign off here. Like we said, La Vega, big win tonight. Huge win for them, 45-15 as they took on Kennedale. La Vega will be looking for them to move up in those Dave Campbell rankings after they pick up a good win like this. They're going to go next week. They have Salina. That's going to be a huge game. And guess what? You can listen to that right here on 94.5 FM. So make sure you guys getting ready for that. And we will see you guys next week. Want to tell everyone, have a good night, and we will see you guys next time.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up